Hey class, so here we are at our last presentation for this semester. So we're going to talk about supplements when it comes to training. The learning objectives for this is I can list some popular supplements and I can name pros and cons of taking a supplement. So as we go through this, just like the rest of the information I've presented, these are just some very common ones. It doesn't cover all of them. There's a lot of gaps. Some of them I left out intentionally, some of them I didn't. And if you have further questions on a particular supplement, let me know. What we do know is when we take supplements, the goal is to aid an athlete for possible performance improvement, right? So we're looking at something that makes our workout easier, allows us to do more repetitions, allow us to do more sets, increases our time to fatigue. Those are the reasons why we take something. Reality is most of them that are super efficient may not be something that is best for our body. And the rest of them are really just a way for the fitness industry to get more money out of you. And knowing how to kind of look at labels, look at what it is, and really do the science and research before you start taking something is probably A, what's best for your body, and B, what's best for your wallet. So the common ones that we're going to kind of briefly go over today are steroids, HGH, which is human growth hormones, your herbal and dietary supplements, creatine, caffeine, and then pre-workout drinks. So when we talk about steroids, we're talking about anabolic steroids. And what we do know is that they're extremely effective at building muscle mass. But that said, they're basically illegal for almost any athlete to take. We do get some steroids when we're healing from something, but those are in a very controlled situation. When we're talking about this, we're talking about most people are injecting steroids for the muscle mass gain. And even with that, there's needle sharing and disease transmission. So the idea of using steroids for benefit is really doesn't outweigh the risk. So when we talk about risk, we're talking about heart problems, blood pressure problems, decreased sperm count, menstrual cycle irregularities, acne, baldness, liver damage, tumors, risk of tendon tears. And that one is if I don't train if my muscles are growing faster than my tendon, and my tendon is that attachment to my bone, I'm more likely to tear that ligament or tear the ligament from the bone and cause a lot more damage, which then defeats any purpose of getting those gains. Intramuscular abscess, which is kind of like a infection almost in the muscle, mania, depression, mood swings, and aggression. So when we look at steroid use, and this is just some of them, these are the ones that I thought would stand out, but there's a lot of negative side effects to the pro of building muscle mass. So you're looking at, is the negative effect worth the positive? And some of these are not reversible. So yeah, I could stop taking steroids and then the menstrual cycle irregularities might change and go back. But once you lose your hair, you lose your hair. So, and then same thing, muscle damage, tumors, all those things aren't necessarily repairable after the fact. So that short-term gain for competition or whatever does have that long term consequence. And then also the science shows that with cessation of steroids, that your gains are really lost much more quickly. So if I'm not taking the anabolic steroid to maintain that muscle mass, once I stop, I am going to lose, versus people who don't take them, they continue to gain even without that steroid. Human growth hormone. All right, the natural function of this is for bone and skeletal muscle growth, but no studies on professional athletes have been there to demonstrate efficacy. Most data comes from replacement treatment therapies because of other health conditions. What we do know is with HGH in children and people who've needed this, that we can have acromegalia, I think I'm saying that right, which is a disfiguring disease which widens bones, enlarges organs, and causes other metabolic problems. And these things, again, may not be, mostly are not, are reversible. So you can see why we've isolated this particular hormone. It makes sense. If I have more HGH, I can affect my muscle growth, which is what our athlete is looking for. But we know that when we have used this within the medical aspect for treatment of disease, that there's already negative side effects. So having access to this and using this can, again, not necessarily benefit the athlete And especially in the long term, it won't. When we look at herbals and diet supplementations, most of these are not FDA approved because supplementation doesn't need to be FDA approved. And then what we've seen is most show no efficacy. Some of these might have a placebo effect. So I take this thing, I feel like I'm doing better, then it's good. But a lot of them don't, and some do have adverse side effects. So I'm taking something that really the science isn't there to prove that it works, and then I could take it for a long term, and then there could be negative side effects. There are certain things that have certain stimulants that may work, but but also cause heart problems. And I can't remember what it is right now. But what will happen is the supplement will come on the market, and then they'll show negative side effects, and then the company hires a whole lot of people to change the formula just enough so that it can basically put it back on the shelf for you under a slightly different name with the same side effects. And so that happens a lot too in the community. So paying attention to what you're taking when it's an herbal and diet and not FDA approved is really important. And do some research. You have a phone attached to you at all times. Google what it is, look at the history, see the side effects, and don't just look at like musclebuilder.com. Try to see if you can find a valuable resource when you're looking at these, because if it has negative side effects, if that's not reversible, you've damaged your body. And again, you won't get really what you were looking for in the first place. The next one, and this is really popular, is creatine. So studies have shown that creatine supplementation does result in increased ability to work out, increasing measures of bench, squat, and power clean. Benefits tend to be greater towards more conditioned athletes. So if you're starting out in any modality, we're looking at train your body first what you need to do. And then as you get comfortable, then a creatine supplementation might be possible. But again, just like anything, research, know what you're getting into, talk to some professionals, talk to coaches, and really see how creatine could be added to your program. Again, my beginners and intermediate, this really shouldn't be what you consider right now. It does increase weight, which is usually desired income, and adverse side effects have been inconsistent, but tend to be towards gas and diarrhea and those type of GI problems. There is talk about how it adds water weight, but also muscle mass, which is what people want. People who take creatine say that they are able to work out a little bit longer, do some more sets, add some more repetition, and that's where that other weight increase comes, right? So if I can work out more, I can build more muscle mass, then it's beneficial. The extra water weight is inconsistent and but could add to some bloat and again the GI problems. But even in long-term studies, it seems like this is okay. Again, this is nothing I'd ever recommend to a beginner or an intermediate athlete. This is something where if you're advanced and you're looking for something extra, but even at that point, don't just start taking creatine. I would look and do some research and follow up on the supplement beforehand. Moving on, caffeine is actually a really powerful one. Caffeine tends to benefit the aerobic athlete, but not the power and strength training athlete. They say that the time to fatigue is really where you see the greatest gains with caffeine use. Now, caffeine does have negative side effects. So anxiety, gastrointestinal problems, insomnia, tremors, heart arrhythmias, and addiction are all from caffeine. So continue to up your dose to get your gains from caffeine isn't something I'd recommend. And the next slide, I think, talks about the pre-workout drinks, which have some caffeine in a low level, and there might be some benefits there. Caffeine overdose is a real thing. It can lead to death because of its effect on the heart. So drinking a power drink or an energy drink before a workout can be good. Also realize that caffeine affects your hydration ability. So too much caffeine can also affect your long-term exercise if you're not also properly hydrating. So not just taking caffeine as this, knowing how it affects your body, how it makes you feel. GI problems, if it's going to cause diarrhea, if you're a person you have coffee and then you have a bowel movement after, this may not be a good modality for you to use as a training enhancement method. We look at pre-workout drinks. Studies have shown some efficacy in increasing resistance training volume and endurance exercises, but not necessarily complete power. Adverse side effects tend to be around excessive caffeine intake. And they've been shown to be beneficial, but it's not necessarily around just the caffeine. There might be some benefit to the additional additives that are in a pre-workout drink, but isolated, most of the additives don't. So there can be some science that suggests that pre-workout drinks are there. And again, this is really to I think I've heard they increase heart rate, and then heart rate comes respiration. And then with that caffeine, that gives you that energy to kind of, again, do more repetitions, do more sets, and kind of get ready. Now, that being said, doing a proper workout can do basically what most of these other stimulants do. If your body's warmed up naturally, it's prepped for exercise, you're more likely to do it. If you sleep well, it's going to help you work out. If you have a great diet and you really focus on nutrient density as an athlete, you're going to have a good workout. If I am not eating well, I'm not sleeping well, and then I'm using energy drinks and caffeine and creatine to really get through my workout, you're going to start going towards that burnout plan that we kind of discussed in other videos. So yes, some of these have the ability to assist. What's going to really give you the best gains, the longest, and keep you working is if you do take care of your whole body first. Again, diet is primary, sleep is primary, hydration is primary. And if you've got those, then the rest of the stuff will fall into place. If I've got that and then I add a pre-workout drink, yeah, you're going to have more gains than someone who's sleeping like crap, eats like crap, and doesn't take care of the body. If you work out too much, you're going to get fatigued. If you're using these things to get your workouts in, your body's already too tired and really probably should rest versus take a pre-workout drink. So those are the primaries. So when we look back at asking questions, just like anything, ask me later. And I didn't put that last slide back in, is you should be able to name a couple of supplements and the pros and cons to taking supplementation. The question for your quiz is really, can you summarize the information that I presented to you and even share some of your thoughts about it? That's it. So questions, shout out my way. I hope this was beneficial. And be careful, take care of your body first. And then if you consider this, consult a professional who can give you guidance on this. Don't just start taking it off of, again, what you've read on Google, unless you know it's a scholarly website. All right, that's it. Take care.